Hello, Ashley here. Thanks so much for being here with me for episode 22 of the Maverick Mompreneur Podcast. Today, I want to chat with you about something that you have probably heard before, but if you haven't, you'll definitely want to know about it. And if you've heard about it, but you don't know what yours is, we're talking Zone of Genius. This is a question that I get quite a bit from clients or potential clients or just people that I'm chatting with, wondering what is their zone of genius? Do they have one? What is it? How can they uncover it? Ladies, this is literally the thing that will unlock your highest potential and set you on the trajectory for the success that you're seeking, feeling in that state of flow where it just feels so good. Working within your zone of genius is literally everything. And the cool thing is we all have one. Exciting, right? So get out your journal, get your phone notes out, or whatever you process best with, and let's uncover yours together. Hey mama, I'm Ashley, and this is the Maverick Mompreneur Podcast, where you're free and encouraged to own your desire to create and scale an impactful, discoverable online brand and business in the midst of motherhood. A business that's aligned with your mission, lifestyle desires, personality, and zone of genius without wasting your time on the hustle and grind hamster wheel that is social media. Can I get an amen? Sis, you are a maverick, an original, willing to stand out in your authenticity, defy expectations, and do life and business outside the box. In our world, if it's not aligned with who we are, it's a hard pass or a brave pivot. So if you're here for the powerful identity shift and transformation from boss babe or boss mom to aligned CEO, building a one-of-a-kind, influential, hustle-free online business that will produce long-term impact and multiple streams of income through SEO, affiliate marketing, and courses while building yourself in the process, well, pop in those AirPods, grab that cup of coffee or glass of wine, and let's get growing. Before we dive into this week's episode, I did want to let you know that the Social Seller to CEO Academy is now open for enrollment until April 14th or until all spots are filled. What's the Social Seller to CEO Academy? I'm glad you asked, and I'm going to tell you. So it's a 12-week group coaching program, and it's divided into two halves. The first half is designed to walk you through step-by-step on setting up systems for automation, aka time freedom, in your current business. So your processes of communication, marketing, and sales, and getting that as passive as we possibly can. The second 6 weeks, we're going to step into CEO energy and mindset. We are going to powerfully, step by step, create and then profitably launch your first paid offer, utilizing the same systems that you set up in part one. Now, if you're someone who's not quite ready to create and launch your first offer, you do get lifetime access to both the curriculum, the course itself, and then also the student support Facebook group. So you could set up your systems for automation and then a year later, jump fully into launching your business, stepping into CEO mode. It's completely up to you. But either way, it's going to be an absolutely amazing, transformative 12-week experience. And no surprise, we're going to be talking about Zone of Genius and getting you into Zone of Genius. And so I can't wait to work with the women who are already enrolled in the program and who will continue to enroll until the 14th. If you'd like more information, or if you'd like to snag a spot, there is a link in the show notes. You just have to press expand. It's basically, 3 little dots. You open it up and then you'll see the show notes as always, or you can just go directly to socialsellertoceoacademy.com and read a ton of information, get a lot of details. And yeah, okay, let's talk about Zone of Genius. All right. Zone of Genius, here we go. So why is Zone of Genius and getting into it and figuring out what it is and implementing it into your life and especially work, why is that even important? Well, a few things. Firstly, it makes your life and work honestly feel fun, which who doesn't like for life to feel fun and inspiring? It also intrigues and attracts other people because you're doing something unique and different and applying that to maybe work that a lot of other people do, but you're doing it in a different way that only you can. If you think about your dream business, so your dream brand, your dream business as let's say a car, the Zone of Genius is going to be the fuel, the literally unlimited fuel that gets your car to wherever you want to go. So, what is Zone of Genius? If you don't know what Zone of Genius is, I should probably tell you. It's your unique power. It's that one-of-a-kind quality that you bring to life and work, and it honestly lets you do certain things better than anyone else, or at least better than a lot of people. Zone of Genius is going to be a mix of both your talents and things you enjoy done in a way that adds meaning to your life by making a difference for others. And who doesn't want that? I know most of us have gotten into online entrepreneurship, yes, to make money, but in a way that's actually adding value and making a difference for others. You'll know you're in your zone of genius when you start to get to work and it feels relaxing. You are noticing that you're able to create things and work almost without effort, or at least without too much thought. I shouldn't say without effort, but without too much thought. That's that flow state where you sit down, you start working, and you think, gosh, I could literally probably do this all day. That's going to be different for everyone according to their unique zone of genius. Your zone is going to be what feels most effortless for you. And how amazing would it be if you could start to build your business and your work around that zone of genius, where not only are your efforts feeling flowy and easy, but they're also making an impact that only you can, or it is also setting you apart from anyone else doing what you're doing. I mean, how magical would that be? I was listening to an audiobook by Gay Hendricks, and Gay identified 4 different zones of function in his book, and it's no surprise that the latter one is the zone of genius, but I wanted to go through these with you. The first one is the zone of incompetence. So he says, in this zone, you're engaging in something that you inherently do not understand or are not skilled at. And I think we've all gotten into jobs at some point in our lives or done tasks at some point in our lives where we are doing something that we just don't understand or we're not skilled at. And then there's the zone of competence. So in this zone, Gay Hendricks says that you're doing what you're efficient at, but you also recognize that many people are efficient at this thing, and so you're not distinguishing your capabilities in any significant way. I've been speaking a lot to women in social selling and talking about how this is definitely an issue that they see, that I see, when a lot of people are efficient at doing the do and doing things a certain way, but they're not working within their zone of genius, and so they're not standing out from all of their competition, the hundreds of thousands of other distributors or consultants. So zone of competence, you can get things done, but you're not standing out. And then there's the zone of excellence. And this is where a lot of people stay in work and you can do very well. So in this zone, you're doing something that you're really skilled at, you're really good. And I'm sure you can relate to this. The zone of excellence is something that's cultivated. You practice it over time. You get better. They say it takes 7 years to become an expert. So this might be something you've been doing for 7 years and you're really excellent at it. And you can be very successful in the zone of excellence, obviously. And then there's the zone of genius. And the way that Gay Hendricks puts it, in this zone, you capitalize on your natural abilities, which are innate rather than learned. So you are drawing upon things that are innate within you, the essence of who you are and all the different experiences and personality traits that have been you your whole life. And this is the state in which you get into flow. You find ceaseless inspiration, he says, and seem to not only come up with work that's distinguished and unique, but also do it in a way that excels far and beyond what anyone else is doing. Obviously, we want to get into the zone of genius, and you can imagine that really, really highly successful people are working within their zone of genius. So since I've been talking about social selling, transitioning from social seller to CEO, I'm going to give you an example from my experience in my career in building a business online, working in the zone of excellence. So I was partnered originally when I partnered up with a direct sales company. It was a makeup and skincare company. And I wanted to add it to what I was already doing, which was sponsored posts and affiliate marketing through my original brand and blog, Tailor Made Mama, motherhood lifestyle blog. Thought this was going to be something additional. right? Turned out it was not something additional. It really consumed my whole life, and I made a bunch of shifts and pivots, and it all added up to get me to where I'm at now. And I am working within my zone of genius. It is flowy. It is all the good things, but wow, it took a lot of pivoting and realigning. And I understand that journey. So it's not necessarily easy to get there, but once you begin more and more to step into your zone of genius, it's real good. So back to being partnered with that company, I was working within my zone of excellence. At that point, I had gotten pretty good at social selling. So selling a product on social media. And my sales were really good. I could have kept doing that over time, but it was ultimately unsatisfying and it wasn't engaging my innate genius, which we all have, right? I wasn't really drawing upon that and applying it to the work that I was doing. I could have, but to me, that particular business, that particular product line and promoting it was kind of off brand, to be honest. It was so peripheral to what I'm all about. I had to make a transition, and I also had to make that transition so that I could market those products in the way that I now teach and wanted to, which is through sales funnels, using search engine optimization passively, where you're not marketing on your front-facing social media someone else's brand, but you're actually marketing your own brand, your own offers, working within your zone of genius to bring that to the people who need it. So this is why I'm so passionate about zone of genius, because it makes all the difference, both to your satisfaction in your work, to the impact you make, and then also your bottom line, straight up. I think one thing that's probably important to talk about is that your zone of genius is not necessarily just what you are super passionate about. It's not just, oh, I like the idea of doing this thing because I'm passionate and I enjoy it. Sometimes your zone of genius is something that you might not even think that you really love. You're not super into it initially, but it's something that you recognize that you're good at. You're like, dang, I'm good at that. I don't love it, but man, it seems like this particular thing comes easily to me and not to other people. So I wonder if you can begin. I'm going to walk you through how to identify your zone of genius later on in the episode. But I wonder if you can think about something that you do in your life, in your work, that seems like a no-brainer, that's intuitive, that makes your life or business easier, but someone or people along the way have expressed that they had no idea. Like you blew their mind over something that you're naturally good at, or that your skills that you've acquired along the way through your experiences make you good at. What is that? Your zone of genius is going to be usually a combination of skills and traits, experiences, could be innate talents, but again, not necessarily. But when you can identify what those skills or interests are within yourself, and we're really talking within a business sense, but this obviously applies to life as well, you can start to capitalize on them by working on those things consistently, playing to your strengths, playing to your zone of genius rather than hammering away at weaknesses, working on your weaknesses, things that you're not good at, focusing on that. To me, that makes no sense. What I know will get you further faster is by capitalizing on those things that you're naturally good at, that your experiences lend themselves to, and really hone in on those. And that's going to be your gold mine right there. That's going to be what makes the most impact. And it's going to feel good too. Yes, there are things you can work on that are weaknesses, but in business, a lot of that can be outsourced, delegated. You need to be working within your zone of genius as much as possible if you want to stand out, differentiate yourself from what everyone else is doing, and feel that sense of flow. So for example, I should have probably mentioned this earlier. So my zone of genius, you could take some quizzes and things, and I have before, and I always come up as the mastermind, which means that my zone of genius is the how. So what I'm good at is basically calculation and monetization. So helping my own brand, helping other brands to make money by figuring out what's working for them, what isn't, and helping them get back into alignment by making small and or large tweaks. So seeing a large concept or a large picture and where someone wants to go or needs to go, and then figuring out the how. Okay, so how are we going to monetize this brand? How are we going to get you back into alignment? Taking a big general idea like becoming a CEO, starting your business online and automating social selling as a part of that. That's a big idea, but making it into a detailed, doable, manageable framework for a course, that's what I do best for myself and other people. There's lots of personal branding coaches out there, but my specialty, my zone of genius, is in delivering the how. So how are my Social Seller to CEO Academy students going to monetize their personal brand through their zone of genius? My job is to deliver the how on that. And that's a big concept, but I feel that is definitely my zone of genius. I know that's my zone of genius. And I figured this out over a process of trying out different things, launching different offers, different courses, working with hundreds of women one-on-one, and really finding out not only what I was able to help someone get the best results with, but also what felt just so intuitive and natural to me. And I've had some experiences, even in really mostly within the last 6 months to a year, that have really led me towards creating this Social Seller to CEO Academy. I'm finding that my gift, my zone of genius, is in helping people to figure out how to use their zone of genius, create an offer, and launch it. So that's a big process, right? From brainstorming to figuring out what that idea is going to be, to outlining it, to validating the idea beforehand, to all the marketing that goes into that, to the back end. Huge, right? But to me, I'm like, hey, talk to me about your idea. I have a one-on-one client, sat down and just chatted with her for hours upon hours, took all of her genius is not creating courses, right? Her genius is in a completely different niche and area, but whoa, I was blown away by the information that she had in her brain based on her innate abilities, who she is, working in her zone of genius. And then I apply my zone of genius as her mentor, as her coach, and create a course out of that. So you can see everybody has a different zone of genius. Yours might not be in course creation, but that's mine. And that's why I offer the Social Seller to CEO Academy. Anyway, here's some questions to ask yourself in order to identify your zone of genius. What do people ask you how to do that comes effortlessly or intuitively to you? Next question. If you could do absolutely anything for work, what would it be? Literally anything. What would it be? Next question. Assuming that you have plenty of money and you don't have to work at all, but you want to do something meaningful with your life, what would that thing be? This is a really important one. What are your favorite things to do? And once you've written the latter two questions down, how could you combine those two? Is there any way to combine those two things? What do people come to you for advice on in business or life? What do you do that doesn't seem like work? If you could make a difference in someone's life by writing a note or a book, how would they be different after reading that? So what would the impact be on them? What is are your unique abilities? I want you to list everything you can think of. And lastly, in your work, I want you to think about what produces the most income and satisfaction compared to the amount of time you spend. So where do you get the most bang for your buck when it comes to both income and happiness and satisfaction to you versus the time you spend? So ultimately, when it comes to Zone of Genius, it's going to be about identifying what comes naturally to you and then capitalizing on that rather than trying to look at what comes naturally to other people and trying to teach yourself those skills in order to, recreate their zone of genius. And like I was mentioning before with Gay Hendricks and his 4 zones of functioning, you can for sure be successful in the zone of excellence. We see people all the time, they're crushing it. They're working in their zone of excellence, but really, if you're wanting to take your life and your business and your satisfaction and impact next level, you've got to maverick the heck out of it. You've got to lean into your zone of genius and not play by anyone else's rules, to do things in the way that only you can. And really, it's going to come down to not so much the work itself that you're doing. Okay, so I'm an online marketing marketing and monetization strategist, a coach. There's a lot of online business coaches, but it's going to be about how you approach what you do. There are lots of online business coaches, but there's no one that's approaching online business coaching and the courses they're creating in quite the way that I do. And it's going to be the same for you. You have to discover what is that zone where you are utilizing your genius. And you can't just jump from zero if you're not currently working in your zone of genius. So maybe you're listening to this episode and thinking, okay, I'm starting to kind of think about these concepts. I'm starting to uncover what may be my zone of genius, but wow, Ashley, I'm really not working within that. You're not going to go from listening to this episode, figuring it out, and then all of a sudden your business is based around your zone of genius. That can take some time, right? It definitely did for me. Oh my goodness. I feel like just now, again, in the last year, I've started to really work in my zone of genius almost all of the time when I'm working. Didn't start that way. So you want to start building that into your life and work, and building your life and work around it, actually, I should say, little by little. So maybe 10 minutes every day. So maybe your zone of genius is taking something that you've read and sharing that with your perspective. And that's a really unique perspective. You're really good at kind of regurgitating information that you're learning to your target audience in a real fun, unique way. Maybe it's humorous, whatever it is, that comes naturally to you. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know what your zone of genius is, but doing a little bit of that every day. So making sure that's part of your life, part of your work, and increasing that over time and continuing to keep it top of mind and leaning into that so that as you're building your business, as you're building your life, you are getting more and more of your zone of genius incorporated into that. And whatever it is that you're doing, weave that zone of genius into it, and that is going to be what differentiates you from what everyone else is doing. And that is going to be so powerful. I am definitely here for that. I want to see more of it from female online entrepreneurs. The power, the untapped power that is women entrepreneurs tapping into their zone of genius is huge. And it just gets me excited to be able to work with my clients and my Social Seller to CEO Academy students in stepping into their zone of genius, stepping into their role as CEO. And yeah, reminder, if you would like to be a part of that program, there is a link in the show notes, or go to socialsellertoceoacademy.com. I do have one more for Q2, one more one-on-one experience of that program. If you're someone who really wants that level of accountability and also my eyes on your business and really, really step-by-step walking you through in a more intimate way, there is one more as of today. Today is the 4th of April. So I don't know if that will be gone, but definitely shoot me a DM, or there's actually a link to that option on the sales page as well, socialsellertoceoacademy.com. If you loved this episode and you got something out of this, I would so appreciate if you screenshot and share it on your socials, share it with your team, share it with a fellow female entrepreneur. Thank you so much. As always, I really appreciate you being here and listening, and I can't wait to chat with you in the next episode. Until then, cheers to your impact.